I'm an American, Cuban American, from United States, and I'm here traveling in Russia for the last month or so. Here's what I got to tell you. Here's my story.
Guys, this is Igor in Russia, and I'm with an American from USA, Cuban American, and this is Joe, everybody. We're gonna go to this touristy Soviet restaurant, and we're gonna hear his story. Are you gonna open up?
Oh, yes.
Guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm a foreigner in Russia, and I do meet up with interesting people, and they share their stories, and I just film. He was on a 1 month trip across Russia. I'm sure there's a lot of stories. Stay tuned and follow you. Soviet cafe, guys. Pay attention to the details. USSR and stuff. Здравствуйте. Выпить можно?
Конечно, вдвоем.
Да. And we drink, I said. Oh! Let's choose this one.
This is good.
So, okay guys, this is Kvartirka, which means basically a little apartment. And this is a Soviet apartment. Check it out for all the details. This is legendary Soviet film. You maybe recognize.
Americans had something similar in those days.
Yeah. Yeah. Удачи.
60s, 50s, and 60s.
Real typewriter, yeah.
Yep.
All this.
Well, I've used
And
those.
even these ones, by the way, this is like an old Russian Soviet.
Wow.
So and it works, so it's a cool thing.
Interesting because
Kniga.
it's about a part of the 20th century. Interior.
You look like you're being interrogated because of the wall.
Oh yeah, wall. Yeah, so I went to Cafeteria the other day when I went out to the Hermitage, and it was really, I mean, they had this tea, this ginger and lemon tea. It was delicious. It's like, man, I never had anything. This is so good.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been a little raspy with my little bit of a cold, and that was just perfect. So, but that night, I wasn't planning on staying till evening, but I did. I come out of the St. Isaac's because I went inside. It was beautiful.
Did you go up?
I didn't go up, man. My knee was messing with me. I did go in. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable artwork. And so then I went out to. I started walking towards, what do you call that, where the water is?
Neva River.
The Neva River?
If it's the big one.
Yeah, the big one. That was the big one. That's where all the tour boats are.
Yeah.
And so I went up to the bridge, towards the bridge, and the sun was starting to go down. So I got some good shots, some good pictures.
You should watch the bridge go up, by the way, today.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
No, I didn't.
Around 1 a.m.
Oh, really?
It's something that like thousands of people go
Is that
every day.
right? To watch?
I've done it, yeah, to watch them. There's like music,
Yes,
and there's hundreds of boats from
interesting.
the Neva River, and you can you can go on a boat,
Yeah.
drinks and stuff. They have like cruises, but thousands and thousands of people are watching from the embankment for free.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
The tour guide told us that this is how a lot of babies were made when people spending the night over, and they ended up to I cannot go home anymore, and people if they're like end up to somebody's apartment and the stuff happened and life happens. That's maybe it's a joke, but probably it's true. Yeah. We meeting for the first time, but I know that background stories that you came from U.S. You decided you have a Cuban background. Yeah, and you spent almost a month here in Russia, and I don't know,
You've been before this?
Yeah, I've been, but I want to do more. Plus, staying in Russia for so long, it's my dream. I would rather stay here for 365 days.
Sure.
But so how was your trip here, if you go like chronologically?
Well, I live about 6 hours from Chicago, Iowa. Yeah, and in the cornfields. I'm in a little village, and I've got a dacha in the village, and it really is like a Russian dacha. So with
this is real Soviet, by the way.
real Soviet tea or beer.
Mug.
Yeah, I see.
No way.
No, we'll do this one.
No.
No, you gotta do this one. Давай.
For the встречу. Встреча is a meeting, for meeting new people.
Good.
Встреча.
That's nice. I flew out from Chicago, O'Hare, on Scandinavian Airlines. It's interesting, with all the sanctions that the West has put on Russia, and Russia's prospering, it's blowing up, there's construction everywhere. It just reminds me of the 1980s when I lived in Dallas, Texas. There was construction everywhere, prosperity. Well, that's where Russia is today. But it's interesting that when I got on the Scandinavian Airlines, what is it, the Airbus 330, it couldn't take off. It couldn't take off. It just sat there. Yeah. Well, it sat there. It sat there because it was broken. The mechanics was like, no, there's something wrong with this plane. And we sat in that plane for 3.5 hours.
That's nothing.
In Chicago. They were looking for a part for the plane. I don't know what it was. They were looking for a part. They wouldn't let it fly. And they didn't know where they're going to find it. So they asked all the other airlines at the airport. It's a big airport. Do you have this part? Do you have this part? And they finally found it. I mean, it's like, come on, that's third world, dude. So we finally got off, and we landed in Copenhagen, which was interesting as well. You know, it's the first time I've gone overseas from the U.S. And first time I've gone overseas.
Seriously?
Yeah, so I've been, I'm from Cuba, so, we came to the United States, in Miami, and then went to New York, and I've been to Canada a few times, and Mexico, but I've never been to Europe, ever. This is the first time, so it was pretty exciting. And I was really looking forward to coming to Russia. It was interesting because I couldn't say much everywhere. It's just like Cuba. It's like Cuba used to be back in. I couldn't say much. You can't.
Europe is similar.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going on. I got a cousin that might be in the 3-letter agency. I don't know. He's a retired lieutenant colonel, so in the army. So those guys. Hello. Little you can see me. Anyway, so we took off and landed in Copenhagen, and then 3 hours later. I waited about a couple hours, and then we went to Gdansk, Poland. And Gdansk is on, you know where Gdansk is. It's right there by Kaliningrad. From Gdansk, I took a bus to Kaliningrad. You ought to try it sometime, I just wanted to see it, I wanted to see what it was like to go that route, because I really wanted to go through Narva. But then when I saw what was going on at the border, when all these people were waiting for hours in that hot sun during the summer. So I can't do that, man. That's crazy. And it was terrible what the Estonians were doing.
Indian rain and
and they're still doing it. They're still waiting. Yeah, and it's done on purpose. So when we got on the bus, we went out towards, it's supposed to be a 2.5-hour trip to Kaliningrad. Well, when we got to the border, it was a fiasco.
Yeah.
At the Polish border. There's two checkpoints, Polish and then the Russian. So we got to the Polish border, and there was a Brit, UK guy, older guy. He was closer to my age, about 55 or something like that. And he was just, kind of letting me know what was going on, And there was a line of cars just stopped. They weren't moving.
Yeah.
It was just stopped. People were walking around a little bit outside, wondering what was going on. The Poles just stopped them at the border and wouldn't let them go through for a while.
Yeah.
And then he says that happens, and they'll stay there for hours.
Yeah.
At the border. Well, they pulled us over on the bus. There was about 60 people on the bus, mostly Russian, and then they ran us off into this little room, and there was 3 windows. And in the past, he says, you just go right through, with the 3 windows and 3 agents. But this time there was only 1 agent, and then the 2 or 3 other agents were in their cubicles watching TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching the computers and laughing.
Laughing?
Yeah. Yeah, the Poles. And so we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then they finally began to walk us through, and the guy was taking the passports, with a magnifying glass that's lit up and looking at it, making sure everything was okay, taking his sweet time, and then there was a big camera in front of you. I don't know if you've seen those, the big camera. Then he went ahead and took people's pictures, but they were just like this real bright flash, like an interrogation, man. And it was weird, bro. It was really strange. And one by one, it took 3 hours. 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours, just waiting there. One of the things I seen, the British guy was really upset, and he was just, cussing away and everything. But all the Russians, quiet,
Yeah, because they want to
and
go
peaceful.
through. I know this reaction as well.
I mean, they were very patient, incredible. No, so I'm just sharing so people in the West could know that it's not Russia that's the adversary, it's the other one, unfortunately. So when we got to the Russian side, it took us about an hour because they're checking everybody. It's a bus. But I just basically got emotional because of what, I mean, I've got a U.S. passport. I'm an American citizen. Yeah. And here America's behind this whole thing. So I understand if the governments don't agree. Okay, I understand, Warsaw and whatever, the Brussels don't agree with Moscow. Great, you don't agree, you don't like it, great. But why attack the civilians?
Yeah.
Why attack the people like that? Why attack them? It's like it kind of made me upset. But I was happy to be in Russia. And we got on the bus. I started, Americans are, for the Russians watching, Americans get loud sometimes. So I was saying, Pobjeda! Pobjeda! And then some of the Russian ladies, most of them are women, but we're laughing and everything. So, Pobjeda! That means victory, if you don't know Russian. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how my trip started. I was in Kaliningrad for a couple of days and then headed out to Moscow. Flew out to Moscow from Kaliningrad.
Which cities you visited? Kaliningrad, Moscow.
Moscow, and then Nizhny Novgorod, and now here. And you just can't do everything in 1 month, man. I mean, it's a lot.
It's really tough.
It's a big country. But everything worked out. Thank God everything worked out. That the government, the federal government, the Federation, and Nizhny government are working together to bring Westerners to Nizhny and to streamline everything, come up with everything, do it just right, registrations, everything.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it through this agency, and so they could replicate that throughout the country, wherever Westerners want to go. So right now it's a little bit topsy-turvy, Bezumia. So there's things that are happening.
So what is the best highlights of your trip and city-wise and location-wise and or events? What happened? So some of the greatest moments.
So yeah, there's a lot of them. First, I was planning on visiting some friends, some Christian friends that I know here, and I was going to stay in a hotel. I was going to try to plan, but I was really moving in a more Russian style, no plan.
Yeah, me too.
No planning, just see what happens. Let's get there. And especially I think that one of the most momentous times is when I got to Kaliningrad. No internet.
Yeah.
No internet. And I had to rely on my A1 Russian. So I went to this coffee shop in Kaliningrad, and it was pouring down rain, but they helped me. They all helped me. We couldn't communicate well, helped me to find out, where to go. And I didn't know this place from Adam. I just didn't know where I was.
Russia, eventually, if you don't speak the language,
Right.
things work out.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, everything worked out. This young girl came in and was able to, because she knew the technology better with my phone and her phone. So she found the MTS, and she connected her phone to my phone through Bluetooth. I've never done that before, and sent the map.
Yeah.
You know, so that was great. That was a blessing. But so anyway, getting back to when I got to Moscow, I found out that these Christian guys were, well, there's one of them is a married couple, and there's like three others that are single, and one of them is a young lady, and they're all living in this big house in Russia, community. They're living in community, which I'm all for. It's 100%. I'm all for communal living, you know. I mean, my American, you know, way of life doesn't like it too much, but I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. So I got to stay there, and somebody got me registered. One of the ladies in the church there got me registered, and so that was great, you know. And so I was able to stay with them. So it was wonderful, you know. So only one of them spoke English, one or two. The husband and wife spoke English. The rest of them spoke Russian.
So yeah, what else? Community living. What else? Greatest moments. Greatest moments.
Greatest moments. That's one of the greatest.
Locations.
Locations. Well, when I first was flying, I always noticed these little things about the cultures.
Yeah.
When I got to the airport in Kaliningrad to fly on Ural. And
how much was it?
It was about $56. Going back is more expensive for some reason, but coming in is cheaper.
Depends on the time.
Depends on the time, yeah. So I noticed one thing about Russians, you know, that I never knew. And I noticed, you know, Americans, maybe Westerners too, I don't know, you tell me, but Americans have a, what do they call that? A privacy space or a space?
In Finland, it's way, way more.
No, it's like, with Americans, it's like 2 miles on either side.
Okay.
So stay away from me. But here, the Russian space is...
There is no.
Yeah, there is none.
Have you been in the line in the shop?
Oh, yeah.
In a queue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's gonna breathe into your neck.
I know. It's like...
And it's normal, but
it's normal.
You feel offensive.
I know, and I have to remember that each time I can go to a grocery store or something.
And you have to do it yourself, otherwise somebody's gonna cut you off.
Oh yeah, you got to, because they just keep going.
Yeah.
But it's the culture. Okay, I understand that.
It took me time. I'm Russian, but I never lived in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It took me time to understand that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I noticed. That, you know, we were all sweating on the queue in the line. You know. Waiting for the gate to open because everybody had their tickets already, and everybody's just quiet. Everybody's quiet and waiting and waiting. I was thinking if this were Americans, they'd be pretty upset by now and saying something.
Yeah.
But you know, I was just observing, and it's like again, it's closeness that, and then okay, it's the other momentous thing, and I know this may be funny, but so at Kaliningrad. I go to a cafeteria and I was looking for the men's room, right? The toilet. We don't use the word toilet in America.
Here as well, it says uborная, which means cleaning room.
Oh, cleaning room. Yes.
But you can say toilet. It's okay.
Interesting.
But, if you want to be a little bit more sophisticated,
refined.
Yeah, you say uborная.
Uborная. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we call them restrooms. The restrooms, you know. But I see this babushka waiting in line for the restroom. It's like, I wonder, this is the women's room, isn't it? I said, this is the ladies' room. That can't be the right. And so I tried to go in there because I saw a guy walking out of there. She's standing there. So I just, no. She said, no. You know, says, I'm going in there. She's saying, I'm going in there now. Says, I'm next. And I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know the setup. It's totally different than America. And so I finally went in there. I see this woman washing her hands in the sink. It's like, whoa, where am I? And I just kind of followed the crowd. Somebody walked out of another bathroom. You know, there was just two doors.
Yeah.
And not all of them are like this, but it's very interesting. So you walk into a little water closet, a little stall where the toilet is. You finish, and you walk out, and you wash your hands right next to a woman that's standing right. That's just really weird, brother.
That's-
Like I don't know if you've been to Pivaldi restaurant. Yeah,
No.
their toilets right to sit on. Anyway, you walk in and it's both male and female, but one use a private little room, the other one use a private little room.
I've seen
And
those,
then, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
And
like a restaurant's decision, basically.
yeah, I mean, it works out.
Or, for example, in Finland, then when there's like festivals or big events, there's like standing toilets, 360 toilets, on a public place, meaning everybody can see you
Oh my
pissing
goodness gracious alive.
there. And like on a public park, kids, no kids,
No.
ladies, not ladies, and yeah,
They're all there.
they're all there. And basically, it's up to you to turn away.
Yeah.
There is like a little
I mean-
side things, but it's basically like one quarter more, and you can see their.
I'll find a tree. Thank you.
Yeah. Why did you travel to Russia?
I used to be in the military. You know, I used to be in the Marine Corps reserves in 1980s. We were being trained to come to Europe and fight the Soviet Union. But I'm glad that, I mean, I got out. I left the military in 1986. So, and of course, nothing ever happened. Thank God. But
They tried to make it happen.
yeah, they tried. So I'm just getting to the why here in a minute. So after the special military operation started, I wasn't really in tune with what was going on in Ukraine since 2014. I saw what was happening on the news with the Maidan. I didn't know all the details. So it was something very foreign to me, so didn't really pay much attention. When this started, I started paying attention. I said, okay, what's going on? And of course, I was watching the bloggers and the alternative media begin to speak about it. And this was, of course, 2022. America had woken up. Not wake. I won't say woke. America had awakened concerning the government. There was less trust concerning the government in Washington, D.C. By the time this thing happened, it was being covered by a lot of bloggers, and it's like I was saying, "Wow, this is incredible." My heart went out to the people, especially living in the basement 2-3 months, no food, no shower, nothing. Just being terrorized by their own people, really, ultimately, without the West covering. This is what I'm trying to say. I made a conscious choice. I prayed about it, but I made a conscious choice to visit Russia someday. And then I learned more about the whole, how Putin was, President Putin was talking about the values, Christian values, family values, and he wanted that to be established. America was going down the toilet already with the whole LGBT agenda and everything else. It was just being just going off the charts. And I noticed that. It's like, what is going on in Russia? Because most Americans still think that Russia is Soviet. They don't even know. It's just ridiculous. So that's one of the things that motivated me. I want to go to Russia. I took some lessons from a Russian teacher here, and I was very enthusiastic to learn the language, so I learned. So I'm not fluent at it, but then I came to visit.
What kind of a problem did you did occur on the path? Visas and tickets, routes.
Well, the problem wasn't on the Russian side. It was interesting because the obstacles were my friends.
Oh yeah.
Yes. My friends, one of them told me, Joe, you shouldn't go. I just read something that there was gangs of skinhead gangs in Moscow. They're all over the place. And maybe there were back in 1993. I don't know. But there's none now. So yeah, that's that kind of opposition. That's why I really felt not to say anything, not to say much. I finally, like my cousin, I'm the one that, he's Louis. I'm closer to Louis than all my other cousins. I don't have any brothers or sisters. So I called him from Russia, and we were talking. So he he was pretty interested. It's like, what is going on?
So what were the reactions of the same people that told you not to go? Because I know you created a little Telegram channel where you post vlogs and real life stories from ordinary life, metro stations outside and stuff. And so what was the reaction when you told them?
Yeah, just the main reaction that, because I'm only on, I've got a big following, not a big following, but I've got a following on Facebook, but I can't get on Facebook. I'm going to do all that when I get home. But the main reaction was from a friend of mine, him and his wife. They're older than me. They're about 16 years older. He's 80. Great guys. They're Christians. They're great guys. They really care about me. But when I told them I was going to go to Russia, the wife, she's more, women are usually the ones that are more apt to listen to the sob stories, and then just really, because she's been listening to all these bad things that are going on, and in Ukraine and this, that, and the other, and so she's listening to all that, and she really got upset that I was going, but they were gracious, So her husband, it's funny because when I cross over to the Polish border, I don't hear I have no internet, nothing, so I didn't get back. Yeah, I didn't get back to him for a while. Joe, I thought you were in prison. Oh no!
Hey, the stories were true.
Yeah, the stories were true. So I told him no. The Russians were great. It was the Polish people on the NATO side that were really, a pain in the neck. So he began to listen, and I think that began to change his mind a little bit. So I can't wait to get back so I can tell him more.
It's gonna be a long monologue.
Yes, yes. No, and here's another thing that's happened. I'm emboldened to go talk now. I mean, it's like I've experienced it now.
So I know the feeling, because it's such a out of, once you know what's the reality here, and the people are great, the culture is great, it's everything they speak about normal life here is like so different what they claim and try to portray. So for you to hear that BS, you won't be able to hear that BS anymore from anybody. It's like,
exactly.
They sound so stupid. They sound good amongst each other. A stupid person talks to another one, and the stupidity continues, or the lie continues. But now you have to intervene and just say, you don't believe me, look at the videos. Videos don't lie.
Well, a lot of it is, you got even smart people and people who are great folks. But because they've been brainwashed, like I said, they've been brainwashed, and they don't even know it, by the culture and the media, and then also the biases from the past. Don't you realize the Iron Curtain, the old Soviet Iron Curtain, is done with? It's finished. A lot of people in America, a lot of conservative families, Christian conservative families, they're very, very nervous right now. Not about Russia, but they're nervous about their own government and about what's going on. And this is what's going down to the election. This is very crucial, very crucial. I went to one gathering or something before I came out. Actually, it was in Chicago before I took my flight. It was at a church, and when some of the people found out I was coming to Russia, they wanted to, like one guy, man, you need to tell me everything, what's going on, because there's a lot of people waking up, and I don't know. So I asked the question, and one of the highlights, you asked me about the highlights, is when I went to the Cathedral of the Armed Forces. It's outside the city. I'm not too far. I was staying close to it, so it was good. It worked out.
Far.
I'm open. I want to know what God is doing in this whole scenario of the flip-flop. I call it the flip-flop because Russia's basically morally where the U.S. was in the 1940s, maybe 1950s, and then the U.S. possibly is more radical Marxist.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything's flip-flopped. You know what's a bad thing? I had a tooth.
Yeah.
I broke my tooth here. Maybe that was
Here?
Yes, because it's an old filling that fell off.
Yeah.
I was
Me too, and
eating-
I still haven't
Yeah, talking about socialism. I don't like using that term because it's so negative in America. Okay, in America, that dental, what would have cost me that filling, but it costs maybe $200, $250 is
Yeah.
how much is that? That's a lot of money. Yeah, so I went to a private one actually. It was $60 for the filling and an X-ray. X-rays were a little bit different, but they got it done. And she did a great job. She was actually, I believe, from Brazil or.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a black girl, but she spoke Portuguese, and she spoke English. No, but she spoke English too, a little English. She did a great job. By the way. I speak Spanish, but she didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, it works out $60. Right. So it's like, which is oppressive? Tell me which is oppressive. The $60, or the one that can't get their tooth fixed because it's going to cost them $800 or something like.
I have these debates all the time, and people would say that, well, it's because Russian prices salary is way lower. Guys, people, local, normal, middle class people can afford private, and but usually you don't need to go because the system works. That's what I know. And you can go to the city one, which is like really fast. It's not as maybe greatest rooms as shiny as the private ones, but you get it done, you get it fixed, and you'll be healthy and you'll be taken care of. But people can afford private ones. Yes, $60 in Moscow.
That was Moscow.
That's nothing, guys.
I'll disclose what my pension is. I'm 66 years old, and my pension, which what we call Social Security for the Americans to understand this, is only $1,033. $1,000.33. Okay? I can live on that, and maybe not in the center of Moscow, but I can live well, decent in Moscow for that in some parts.
You can live decent in St. Petersburg. That's the average salary.
Which is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's good to meet you, Igor.
All right, it's been awesome talking to you, Joe, and hearing your opinions, your insights. I hope you had a great time. Well, obviously you did. I'm hoping to hear from you again. Come back to Russia.
Will.
Russia waits for you. And I speak here though as a foreigner myself. But get back to Russia soon.
I will. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot, and subscribe, guys, if you enjoyed the video, right?
Right.
Bye-bye, y'all. Thanks for watching another of my videos. I do a lot of work and showing you reality in Russia and Russia-related places. Make sure to check out the places that you're interested in with the link in the description. There's an interactive Google Maps that you can use to find another places all around the world. Go check it out on a browser. Also, if you want to support and you wear Igor Russian shop clothing, you can do that. There's a link in the description to my store. Distribution all across the world. Thanks for watching, and leave a like, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.